All right, let's go live. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another Crystallize live stream. Today we're here with Victor.
Hello.
Yeah, hello Victor. First time I guess on YouTube.
Yeah.
Nice. So with Victor today, we're going to be showing the new Crystallize boilerplate on Nuxt, Vue and Nuxt.js, right, Victor? And
Yep, exactly.
I think that we had one in the past, but this is like following the new design that the rest of the boilerplates are basically following as well. And it follows the same patterns, using banners, the item collections, collections with grids, and basically these kinds of concepts that were introduced in the boilerplates. And we will also be going through a bit of the code, right? So just show people around, I guess, if they want to just change a few things, or if they want to just change the feel essentially, because this is a boilerplate after all. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what we're going to be looking at. So it's yeah. So maybe you want to give us like an introduction on Nuxt and Vue, and maybe, because I think you've also worked on the Next.js boilerplate, maybe what you found like really interesting in Vue.
Yep, indeed. So I think that the first thing, right, is to know what's Vue.js and Nuxt.js, and basically Vue, it's kind of a framework that resides on top of JavaScript like React does, and it's useful in order to create beautiful UIs and well-performance UIs. So as well as Next.js did, or Vercel did with React, which was to build a framework on top of React, at the same time giving sugar syntax thing and functionalities as well. Nuxt has done the same, but the difference is that Nuxt is a community-driven framework, so it's not centralized like Vercel. And the good thing about Nuxt is that it's a total framework. Like it has a lot of packages as well, such as the router it's included. There are different modules such as for internalization as well, like Next.js has done in the past, I would say, year. So one of the things I like and I didn't like about Nuxt is that it has been the first time working with Vue.js, and there are several things that are different from React. And once you're used to be working with hooks or working on the React ecosystem, you will notice that you have to change your mental model or the way you think about building the components. Because, for example, the variables are not in React. The variables reside on same context that the render resides, but on Nuxt or Vue.js, you have kind of you have a instance of a component, which then it has its own context. And this, of course, in React there's as well, but we don't use it that much. At least since we do use functional components. And with Nuxt, you have to use that. So it's a way of changing. Because then
so it's a slight different approach, basically, right?
Exactly. They provide many, it's kind of a life cycle hooks like React did. And so you can fetch data on their fetch hook, or you can watch at some things. And I would say that the main difference between Vue.js and React, it's that Vue.js, it's reactive. So it uses the observability. Yeah, I pronounced that all right. It uses the observability pattern. So it's kind of looking at a variable, and if that changes, it changes everywhere. And it uses a bidirectional binding, which React uses just one directional.
I see. All right, but overall, I think it went really well. It didn't it wasn't like a negative experience, let's say, to work on Vue. It was like more like a really nice tool, I guess. Cool, awesome. So yeah, glad you had fun with it. Let's maybe. I think that it's nice, especially for people that have not been are not familiar with Crystallize. We just go through a bit of the concepts, like what we showed here, and also show a bit of the backend before we dive into the code and how people can actually start working with boilerplates, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Cool. So again, the boilerplate, the next boilerplate that Victor was just talking about is basically one of the boilerplates that we have rolled out. And more, of course, will be coming in various tech. So basically, what we see here is a combination of content and product information in this boilerplate. And we essentially have things like some structured content that we display here, like in the front page, like this banner, for instance, and the collection of items with some rich text and title information, and maybe like this kind of concept with following the grids in Crystallize. So if we visualize that in the backend and we dive in really quickly there, we can see, like, of course, like in the first thing is the catalog, which is basically where all our content and structure is. So we have this front page item here that basically holds all of these stackable components. So the banner that we saw in the beginning, or the item collections that we have underneath it. And basically, if we go in one of these, for instance, let's take this item collection here, because why not, which is basically a carousel. So you see that it has like this title, this rich text here, and a combination of items, which is relatively easy to just add more just by drag and dropping. So same goes with every kind of every other asset that we have here. So if you got like another grid, it's pretty much following the same. Well, that's pretty empty. But let's say another item collection, that this one that has chairs, for instance, pretty much the same concept, that you can stack it on top of each other to make this beautiful front page that we saw here. And if you dive in a little bit further, so you got your shop, which is basically all your, let's say, different categories, product categories. So you got plants and chairs. We primarily focus on plants for those that didn't notice Victor's background. So yeah, there's tons of plants, and this basically following the same architecture here. So you got different products with price information and their own content, which is basically what is displayed in these guys over here. Awesome. So okay, this is basically what we have here. Of course, in previous live streams, we've gone through the idea of shapes, which is basically the structure of all of these different items. As you can see here, we have defined like the banners, like what type of content consists this banner consists of. What type of the item collection, for instance, it's a combination of title, a rich description, and a combination of items. The grid collection is pretty much the same, with a combination of grid that allows us to have to give positional meaning in these items. So it all follows this similar approach, actually the same approach as in different boilerplates. And what do you say we actually test the performance a bit of this guy that is launched? Just to show where we're at, where we're standing. And I have using PageSpeed Insights here from Google. The plan is for today at least to install something, like install it locally, right? And then we just push it in production. Let's do this once more, because this was supposed to be like green all the way through. Although, of course, it varies depending on how warm this is, right? So this is scoring pretty well. I guess it was the first call. But yeah, this is performing really well. So congrats, Victor. And I think, as you mentioned in the beginning, like actually right before the call, we do have some optimization, let's say, tips to give to people, right about in the end, I guess. But what do you say I stop sharing screen and stop talking that much, and maybe you show us how to install the boilerplate locally with our own content and our own tenant information from Crystallize?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me see. Let me see how this works. This is the first time I see that UI. So here, share screen. You should be looking at my desktop, right? Of my main screen.
Yeah, looks
right?
looks empty.
Okay.
But yeah.
That was the plan.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So, okay.
Awesome.
So let's see if I have nothing here. So as Stavros have said, we have a CLI which allows people to create new projects from our boilerplates we have, which we want to remember that these are starting points. Most of them are fully functional, but these are really great in order to have something really quickly and to start from that. So in order to install or to create a new project with Crystallize, we have a NPM package, like we said, that you could run basically doing npx.
Or maybe you want to, sorry, maybe you should zoom in a bit. Yes, a bit more as well. It's never, that looks, it looks good.
So by doing Crystallize, but running npx at crystallize/CLI, we get we execute this npm package, which we could provide a name for our new project or not. That's something optional. If not, we have a default one. But let's say that live stream project, for example.
Good naming there.
Exactly. So what it's doing right now basically is installing the minimum thing that it needs in order to run the CLI. Which basically we will see that it comes out. It's a interactive interface in the terminal, which it's really awesome because we use React for this, but we could do another video for that. So here we will see we're listing all the boilerplates that are available right now on Crystallize. Doesn't mean we will only have those. We will be adding new ones as we see that the community or that frameworks have new adoptants, I think it's the English word for that. So yeah, basically. So today we're going to be working with a Nuxt, which it's this one. As you can see, we show as well the URL of those that we have production, as this is the URL that the staffers have shared with us.
Yeah.
So we select this one because we want to create a new project in Nuxt. And you will see that some questions are coming up basically, and this is the tenant. The tenant is nothing else but kind of the name of the project. So you could use our own tenant, the one that we have as demo, which is the furniture one, or you could use your own tenant here if you already have created a project on the PIM UI or the back office. What do you want to do, Stavros?
I think we should just go for the default one. Actually, so because it's public and people can just also, see that it's basically they've set up everything correctly.
Yeah, makes sense. And here it's asking us if we want to provide a service API URL, or URI actually. A service API, there's a live stream as well that we will link right on the description below.
Yeah, correct.
We have another live stream. And service API is nothing else than another project that runs, and we have a boilerplate for that as well that has some logic such as the authentication, the basket if you want to have a fully functional e-commerce, you want to add items to the cart, and I guess that's something else. Payment configuration,
validation, pushing things in Crystallize. So it's a central place where you hold all your, of course, business logic, and it's decoupled from the front end. That's basically what the API is. And like you said, that we basically have the previous step was like underneath the Nuxt boilerplate was the service API option for installation.
Exactly. So for sake as well, I guess that for sake of being fast, we will select the demo one. And basically now it's that once we've selected all the options, it has took like the answers, and basically it will install all the packages needed in order to fulfill the requirements we wanted. Basically, that's how it works as CLI.
Yep. Awesome. And like Victor mentioned, I think it's really nice to just say it one more time that in the previous, in one of the live streams that is linked below, we go through the process of, installing the boilerplate locally and the steps that you can take to push to production both the boilerplate, a front-end boilerplate, and the service API with your own tenant information. And of course, going through the steps of using the default tenant and furniture as your live data, and then of course changing to your own one.
Exactly.
So I guess now you're opening the project.
Exactly. Yeah.
Remember to zoom in.
Yep.
It's always important.
That's way too much, right? Is that all right like that?
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's good.
Okay. So should we maybe take a look in the big picture and see how the project is organized, or should we do another thing?
Yeah, I think we can do like a little bit of showing the scope, the basic pages, let's say. So Crystallize has both product information and content. So maybe we can show like a product page, also the front end page, I guess, right?
Okay. Yeah. So for the ones that are new to Nuxt, or I don't know, or that they have done, they will know, of course. But there's a file called Nuxt.js, which is kind of the same of the Next.js, where you can configure things here, basically, such as if you want to have a kind of target, or you want to expose some environment variables, you want to customize how you organize the code, or things like that, basically, right? Which give you or empower you in order to have better developer experience if you want to. Nice. So set that. Here we have some folder, all the code that relates to the application resides inside the SRC folder. We have a lib folder as well here, where the code that it shared through the application resides. So basically, we have pricing logic, some service API functions that we're connecting actually to the service API and things like that. So in the source code, we have pages and page components. Basically, it was everything on pages, but since I thought yesterday that a good thing would be to have exactly the same directories that Next.js. This is a working in progress that maybe in a couple of days will look perfect. But the idea is to have pages and page components, and to leave the most of the logic of each page in the page component. So for example, right now here, that index Vue.js, it's the home page. So for the ones that don't know about Nuxt or Vue, basically how it works, it's you have to, well, let's say that, must say that I'm using Vue, the version 2, which right now there's a version 3 available, and it changes a little bit. But if I'm not wrong, that I could be, Nuxt still don't have a working version with the version 3 of Vue.js, but I'm not super sure about that. So with the version 2, basically, we have a template which it indicates the UI we want for that file. We have a script tag, which basically it has some JavaScript attached or related to this component. And we have as well a style tag that we can add styles to that file as well. We could have them scoped or not, and we could be referring to an external file, or we could just type the styles just right here without changing anything. So what else? How it's everything organized? So right now we have as page components a document folder, product, and search. So basically, let's say first that it Crystallize, we have different kind of documents, or we have a document, we have a product, we also have a shapes, basically. We have a folder as well, and that would be pretty much. We have another ones, right? Yes. But these are the most basic ones.
Yeah, I guess that for every kind of item in Crystallize, you have a dedicated page for it, so that you can, of course, handle and style it differently. And
exactly.
Yeah, right. So I think that's what that is, I guess.
So all the items that are document are rendering this piece of code. The ones that are a folder will render this, and the ones that are a product will render this. And we didn't create another one for search because we wanted to render another thing than a folder for certain things that we could take a look later on.
Yeah. Awesome.
So for example, should we deep dive into each of them? Or
no, not all of them. I guess we can show product.
Sure.
Just as because I guess that's what people may want to change. And I think this should be okay.
Yeah, makes sense. So for example, in this case, the product page, it's using a few. We also added some components that we have in this directory that can be reused, like an article, a basket button, just a button, collections, containers, and so on, right?
Cool. So it's reusable components along every page component that you have, right? That's nice.
Yeah. What I've tried to do is all the components that were only used in that page, I would create a folder for that in that directory. So for example, this buy component, it's not reusable, or at least not right now. It cannot be reused because maybe it has some logic inside, so it just directly coupled to the product page.
Yeah.
And this is why I didn't create a buy directory or folder in the components folder. Because
that
it wouldn't be
sense.
reusable.
Yeah, right.
So on this page, we have basically a page header that we are printing. We're using the product name. We have some other thing inside that header, which is the summary, which is a brief text that we want to, for marketing purposes, for example. A topics list, which this is great because sometimes we want to kind of do taxonomy or to relate assign kind of labels to the product, and we've added that feature. And then we have the variant selector, which basically is that not all the products need to have more than one variant, but some does. For example, the plans, at least as we've built the site, don't have any variant. It's the product itself, and that's it. You buy that plan.
Well, you could buy a big one and a small one, I guess.
Yeah, but we haven't done that. But in the chairs, for example, right? You could think about frames or colors, textures.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different product variations. If you're thinking t-shirts, it's colors and sizes, for instance.
Exactly. Right? And then we have the pricing, which will be updated depending on the variant, because something great about Crystallize is that you can customize and have control of absolutely everything. So you could assign different prices or even discounts for a certain variant.
Exactly.
Which it's really great because maybe you want to, I don't know, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of giving different prices, offers, and so on.
Offers, multiple currencies, and so on and so forth. So I guess this is the place to handle that.
Exactly.
Nice. What I notice is that the code is like really structured. Exactly what we see in the product page, I see it in the code. So I think this makes total sense, and it's super understandable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So good job. I like it.
That's something. Something I try.
I mean, if I understand it, then people should understand it as well.
Yeah, it can happen. Something that I think that there are still some things that could be improved, of course. But for example, you will notice that there is no standard on naming of namings, such as here we have some folders that are not capitalized, and here we have kind of Pascal case. So I still don't know which is the best approach in the Vue.js community, which I wanted to follow that. So I encourage you guys, if you have any improvements.
Suggestions,
exactly. So go on and go to the community and write them there, or you can reach us on Twitter as well, and we'll be more than happy to hear your suggestions.
Nice, awesome. All right, so I think that's a bit of the structure. I'm not sure if you want to mention something else there.
Not really. Maybe for the people who, I just wanted to say one more thing.
Go for it.
So basically, how this works, so people can understand when how the application, how it renders a document, folder, or product, or the search page, right? And it's done here in the Nuxt company. Basically, we have different renders. And that one is the product, the document, or the folder, right? But we also have a search. And this is the key, an if statement that basically gives us this flexibility of rendering or assigning a different render for a specific kind of item or path, because at Crystallize we work with paths. So basically we're saying that for each, before building the application, we carry all the items of our catalog, and we try to do all the nested, we get anyway all the nested children. So basically, for each one, it has a path. So depending on that path, we give a render. We say that it's a product, a document, or a folder. But for certain things, we'll render a search if it basically matches a specific case that we want. Exactly, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, awesome. Great. I was thinking that maybe you can show us, because we mentioned, like, of course, setting it up with your own tenant and updating with your own service API after you install the second boilerplate and so on and so forth. So maybe you can show, like, in the code where to change that, which I guess follows pretty much the same principle, but never hurts asking. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
So here we have a env file and an env example file. So basically, the env example file should provide, or I think that's a standard, or that's a good practice. It should show all the possible variables that you can provide.
Exactly. I guess.
All the variables, exactly. So just taking a look at that, you can see, oh, okay, I can provide this, and this. And then on the env file, which we've just followed this one, but you can have a env file for the local, for production, for test, for absolutely everything. So you should take care first of if you upload that or not, because if you're exposing some keys, some private keys, you would be exposing or have vulnerabilities on your application that you shouldn't do that. So here, for example, there's a env variable that it's called Crystallize Tenant Identifier, which basically it's kind of the same as a tenant name, but it's not if there's a space between or stuff. But you can know which is your Crystallized tenant name by going to the Crystallized Tenant Identifier, by going to the settings, and you can take a look at that. And basically we would add here our tenant name, which we can try. I think that you added a new one, right?
Yeah. So basically we had the previous one that we've worked in the previous live stream. And we can show that. Actually, I can just send in the chat here real quick. So it's live stream furniture.shop. Yeah. Looks good.
And just for sake as well of explaining things, this site URL, it's because it's used across the application for SEO purposes, such as the hreflang. Basically, it's not that this is going to be used in the deploy or something. If we take a look where it's used, basically we create we create a canonical and other thing that provides a good SEO, that are good for SEO practices or purposes.
Best practice, basically. Yeah, that's nice.
Exactly. So it's okay if you leave it like this. Right now, it doesn't matter. But if you are really, if you're deploying your site to production, this should be such as HTTP, I don't know, my custom domain.com.
Nice.
So if we kill the project, let me see. Oh no, we run it. I didn't run it. So let's run.
So basically, like now with the CLI, everything is installed. So you got all the packages ready.
Exactly.
Let's just run with this tenant just to show, like, okay, our own pretty not that as full as the furniture one, so the public one as a tenant, but we can show that. Cool. So I think
let me open an incognito.
It's nice. It's fun. It's running on port 3000 in case that it's not visible because it's behind our faces.
Which you could customize as well. We've provided here, as you can see in the example, you could provide a port, which basically if I run this, the port I want, it will run that port. If not, it uses the 3000, which is the default one.
Awesome.
So if we go to the shop, basically, did we add a?
Yeah, we have a few products there. So just displaying a few random items, pretty much nothing too crazy here. But this is how an example, like how you can just run with your own content after you set it up initially, just to verify that everything went well, and you can now start working with your own tenant information, basically.
Also, mention as well that this is working because we're using the same shapes, and the boilerplate it's done to be working with those shapes.
Exactly.
So if you want to change tenants that have different shapes, that won't work, because of course you're asking for different information, that it's different structure or model.
Yeah, I guess that of course, this brings back the conversation that of course boilerplate is a starting point, right? So
exactly,
it's meant to be customized from you guys to make it exactly like you say fit, right? So it's But again, it's really nice. The code helps to do that, actually, since it's this coupled at the points that it should be. So it's really nice.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And if you're wondering how you can get ready and deploy this to production, it's really easy because we use Vercel. And so basically, there are two ways of using Vercel. You can use the UI, so you could connect the Git repository to them, and on every single push you do on the master, or I think even you can customize the branch, but you would be deploying to production, or you can as well use their NPM package. I think it's an NPM package that you install globally.
Yeah.
So you can just run Vercel. You can just run Vercel. If it's the first time you use Vercel, you have to install it globally, which I think it's like this, and I think it's called Vercel. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And once you have it and you run Vercel, you will see that you cannot deploy it because you have to log in first. So you would have to execute Vercel login, I think it is. And then it asks you your email, and I don't know, it's something else. And that's it, you're ready to deploy. So because I've done that previously, I can just run the Vercel command. And so here it's the CLI that basically asks us a few questions. So do we want to set up and deploy this live stream project? Say yes, because we want to deploy it. So here it asks you to which scope. Victor River is my private one, and Crystallize, it's a corporate one. I want to use it, my private one. And I don't have an existing project on GitHub. If that's the case, I guess that if you say yes, they will ask your SSH or HTTPS link repository, but I'm going to say no because I don't have any existing project. And I'm just going to say that this is this live stream project. It's the name I want. On the road, and that's it. Setting it up.
Awesome. So this will be I guess not the right settings. Yep. So just following the default path as usual, and deploying that live. Pretty simple to me.
To me as well. Like it. To me as well. It's really incredible how they have make things so smooth for the blocks, like right now.
Yeah, you know what we didn't mention? We didn't go through like the checkout process there, which of course we can do.
Yep.
And mention something about the checkout there as well.
Yep. Let me see if I can find that on parallel. Yeah, I can.
It does? Oh, beautiful. Unexpected.
Oh, you want to check, or you want to check it on the production one?
Yeah, maybe we can do that as well. Like,
So basically, like we said, you can add things to the cart and whatever you want. Like you could add this plan to the cart, basically. Remember that if you want to run this functionality, you will have to deploy first your service API that you can use our boilerplate to have it to spin it up quickly. We could also increase well, like a typical car, right? Increase the stock of that item that we want, the quantity, the price will be reflected as well, will be updated. Where else? We could select variants as well of, I don't know.
Sofa. Yeah, of course.
The artboard sofa. We could say the blue version, the walnut. So it's added. As we said, we could have different prices for each variant, as you can see, which is really great, because maybe that, I don't know, you have one variant that it's not sold as much as you wanted, and you want just, or you have a small amount of stock and you just want to sell it up. That's basically it. So we can go to the checkout page, and this is how it would look, basically, like same as the Nuxt.js. The only difference, that there are two differences. The first one is the payment methods. We just only did, we wanted to do only for an integration with the Stripe, because it's the one that most of the people uses. But we haven't done the complete integration, because as far as I've noticed, there is no official Vue.js package for Stripe. There's a couple that are done by the community, but they didn't match exactly the requirements we wanted. And I guess that we will wait a little bit to see if the community matures in that aspect. And if not, who knows? Maybe we can write, I don't know, our component, or anyone can do the integration. Of course, Stripe has their own JavaScript library. So if you want to code this and do your own implementation, feel free, it works, it will work. So basically, most of the checkout is done. The only thing that it's missing, it's the submit. That's the thing. How
I see. And this is
handled.
Stripe, so basically, Stripe specific.
Exactly. You could type here whatever you want. The information is captured, the same with the card. So when you select the Stripe, it works basically. But the submit of this is what it's not working. So I could say, I don't know, for this is the, oh yeah, this is the Stripe test card basically. And if we pay now, this is the thing that it's not working. So nothing is happening because the submit has not been completed. So I think that this is one pending thing that we would like to do. And then as well, the confirmation page that I haven't done, because I think that for sake of being simple, it's easier if you have the information back and should not mock that information.
All right. Sounds good. Not sure if you want to run maybe Lighthouse as well, maybe on the live side, like the demo one. Sure, Lighthouse. And I remember you told me that you have some tips for performance, because it performs really well, of course.
Yeah, it does. Let me see. Wait, I don't know if I've deployed this one or the other one. I'm not sure really now. Let me see if I do this.
Oh, you deployed the previous one.
The one that is not exactly as the one we have in production. Let me deploy it again, because what we want to show as well is that we did not do any previous optimizations on the one that it's in production right now. So you can see how really after installing and running this boilerplate, you will get that score. And if you want, we can do, meanwhile, we can run on page speed maybe, or on Lighthouse.
It's up to you. It's both should be fine.
Yeah, they will. Let me see Lighthouse. Page speed. So basically, if I'm not wrong, it's Nuxt or Nuxt, but super fast. .shop. That one. I'm sure I have short-time memory, so
yeah, it's fine.
I'm worse than a fish, really.
Happens.
Yeah. So let's run that again.
Warm it up. This is based on traffic as well, I guess, right? So it's if it just goes cold, it's not that.
Yeah, really. Some people have don't understand really how the page speed works, but basically it's an average of all the servers that are connected to that website. So even if we get now a 86, it's not really an 86. It can vary depending on how much people it's connected, the how powerful are the devices that are connected, and things like that. So basically, what I wanted to point out is that there are like 2 or 3 things that could be improved. That I think that those will give the 99 or at least the 95. And the first one is to use I have this in Spanish. So how bad?
Nice.
Well, basically, I'm Spanish. So basically, this is saying that we should use the proper size for the images, and that we could be saving 1.2 seconds, kind of. That's an estimate time. And I believe that with that, we would just get directly the 95, really. Or even we could explicitly indicate the width and the height of those images in order to avoid a layout shift, which basically will improve the, I think it's a cumulative layout, which is the new Web Vital metric. And then there's another thing. I don't know how PageSpeed doesn't show it. Let me go to the side from Lighthouse, because then you will see as well how good are the scores of the other things as well. We focus on accessibility and on SEO. So the only thing that could be improved to improve the accessibility, it's basically, so this is the score I usually get. So to improve the accessibility, as it's pointed out, we could improve the color palette, which right now we're working on it, and we will improve it at some point. But if you guys provide a colors that has enough contrast between them, you will get the 100 of the accessibility. And on SEO, there are like 3 things that has been mentioned. The first is that we are not providing a robots.txt, that if you do, basically it will go up to 80 something. And then there's something wrong with the hreflang and the canonical. I don't know why. I have to check out how Nuxt is handling it, but right now we are providing it. So I don't know why it's being mentioned. So as you can see, we're explicitly indicated that which is the canonical and which is the hreflang. The canonical, just quickly, it tells to the crawlers that that's the original, if I'm not wrong, that's the original URL. So if you have if you have 2 pages with exactly the same content, you will get penalties unless you indicate which is the canonical. So you are telling the search engines that content is duplicated at the one that it's
proper
most important, or the proper one, it's the one that has that URL. And the hreflang, basically, that it's, I can see it here, it's to tell the search engines which languages, in which language and to what country are you serving that content. And this is good in terms of e-commerce as well, because it helps the search engines to detect the language and the currencies as well, because maybe the same language it's used in 2 countries that have different currencies. So if we know more or less how Nuxt uses this, and we fix it, we would get, I guess, the 100 basically.
All right, so it's a few fixes, really nice to mention, of course, right? So people can go in and look into that. But of course, the boilerplates are continuously being worked on, right, from our side as well. So you might see that in the future as well.
Yep. And to mention as well, even as with it, if you have any suggestions, improvements, or I don't know, we are always more than receptive to hear about features and stuff. So feel free to reach us.
Awesome. All right. So I think that's pretty much it, what we wanted to show today, Victor, right?
Yep.
Great. So thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Victor, for showing us.
You're welcome.
And just like you said, for any questions or regarding Vue or the boilerplate or pretty much anything, feel free to reach out. in both Slack, YouTube, and via email, website. So yeah, thanks again for joining, and have a great day. See you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.